Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this card making technique video that's going to go hand in hand with card making project FabScraps number 14 using the Days Gone By collection. So out of the Days Gone By collection I'm going to be using the stencil, the Dragonfly stencil. You get 2 stencils in each fab box, so it's the Dragonfly one for this week. And we're going to make a gorgeous background. We're going to use 3 colours of ink and blending brushes to create this, a gorgeous dragonfly background. Please check my blog as I'll take lots of photos of the technique and lots of photos of the actual finished background rather than the technique, shall we say. However, check out the project for number 14 for FabScraps to see how I use the background. What I'd really like is for you to do some stenciling. I'd like to see you use a stencil that you have in your stash with 3 different colours of ink. Whether you blend it or you stencil it, you dab it, whatever you do with it, and tag me. Put it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and tag me, and then I can see your creations. So sit back, relax, have a look at how I've created this, and I look forward to seeing your creations as well. So I want to show you very quickly how I made the stencil background for today's card. We're going to be using the Days Gone By collection, and in the collection, in the fab box, you get a stencil. Well, you get 2 stencils actually. One of them is the Dragonfly stencil. I just think the Dragonfly stencil, when I first saw it, I thought, oh yeah, that's nice. But I've used it and used it and used it and used it. And you can use it on so many different things in so many different ways. A couple of weeks ago, we made a shaker using it. Today we're going to be stenciling. And I want to show you how I did the stenciling and how I got the shading on it, because I know you will be asking. And I don't do as many techniques to show you the techniques as I should, but I think this is a good one. So what I've done is I've got a piece of scrap paper and I've got the card that we're going to be using. Now I'm also going to just use some washi tape to stick down the card to the scrap paper. So the washi tape, I've got to be honest, if I use masking tape or I use washi tape, if I use washi, I try to use the patterns I don't like. But I've picked one today for you to be able to see it against the background. So washi tape will peel away from the surface without damaging it, but it just holds the actual card in place. Craft masking tape will do the same, or craft stenciling tape. So I've held the card down on a piece of scrap paper. This is my stencil, and you can see on my stencil I've wrote front. So now we're not going to get exactly the same pattern as we've got on here, but it's the colouring really that we're going to be looking for. So we'll put the stencil roughly like that, so we've got a nice big dragonfly here. And I'm going to again use some washi tape to hold the stencil in place and just stick it onto the actual cardstock at the back so the stencil won't move. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, I've got 3 inks. I'm going to start with one called Old Paper, and then we can add a little bit of colour. I'm using a blending brush. These are brilliant. They're newly discovered by me. I've put links on Facebook and my blog before. They're on eBay. They're really, really, really economical. I don't use the word cheap, but you know where I'm going. And they blend so well. So I've got 3 of them here. just so happens there's 3 for 3 different colours. I don't normally. I'm quite naughty, but I do keep the black separate, and I keep different colour tones to each brush, shall we say. And on the black one, I've started labelling them, just so that I know what colour spectrum I'm using with which. So for this, I'm starting with the old paper. So you literally take the brush and you just slide it along. Don't tap it. Just slide it along to get some colour. Check you've got a bit of colour on your scrap paper, and then just start blending. You don't need a great technique. You can blend, or some people like to tap. I prefer to blend. You get more of of the colour tones if you blend, I would say. That's just moving slightly. So I'll hold it with one hand and just get the base colour on. There we go. And just keep going through all of the dragonflies that are over the cardstock. Just blend away. Keep adding a little bit more ink. Make sure you get the tails. Dragonflies are so pretty, and they come in so many different colours. We get some gorgeous peacock and electric blue ones from, there's a pond a little bit away from us, and they fly across the garden in the summer, and they're just so pretty. And big. They're massive. Very nosy as well. So that's our first layer of colour. Now it's up to you if you want to go darker on some areas than others. All it is circular movements, just adding that colour like that. You can keep going over. It's completely up to you how much colour you add and how dark you want your dragonflies. So I'm quite happy so far with mine. So I'm going to swap to the next colour. Now the next colour is going to be black. And we're only going to use a teeny weeny amount of it. So again, I've got my blending brush, little bit of colour, and I'm just going to take the excess of it away on the scrap paper. And I'm going to just add around the edge the black, just a tiny bit, because I don't want it too dark. I just want it to give kind of like a shadow just on the tips of the wings. And I think the black, as you blend in, it blends so well with the old paper, the other ink that we've just used. Just on a little bit on the tail, and I think that's enough for the black. Now if you go heavier but lighter blending and go slower, you can be very controlled with where you're putting it. Then you can get quicker and just swish it about. You don't have to, it's just different ways and different methods. It's just like using the blending tools. The lighter you are, the slower you are, the more controlled you are with where you're putting it. Okay, so the last colour that we're going to use is Scattered Straw. And this, I know normally you would add paler colours first. But I'm using this one last because I think the blending for it. And I'm just putting it in the centre. There we go, a little bit more. Just kind of as if it's catching the light with this one. There we go. And you can go as heavy or as pale as you want. the more you do it, the more colour will go on, depending on how much ink you put on your blender in the first place. I kind of like that blended look of, it's just as if it all works, it really is. So a bit more, there we go. Okay, so those are our main dragonflies. I'm going to peel the tape away and the stencil so that you can see it. Look how cool they look. And then I'm going to turn the card around, and we've got a few areas of empty space. Now these are where you can add extra pieces of your dragonfly and just blend them in very, very lightly. So if we look at this section here, I'm going to put the stencil over it. I'm not taping it down. I've got the first colour roll paper, and for what's already on the brush, I'm just going to blend it slightly, and that'll be enough. You can see that little bit of dragonfly. Turn the cardstock round again, because let's not forget that's on the scrap paper. We've got an area here. We'll just add a dragonfly wing here. Again, with the colour that's still on the brush, just nice and lightly blending, and that should be enough. There we go. You can keep going as many times as you want to fill as much of the cardstock as you like, or as little. It's up to you. Sometimes it's knowing when to stop. That's the main thing. So I think that's enough for me. Now next, what I've done is I've actually just inked it around the edge slightly, and I've used the same colour, the old paper, and I've just simply gone around the edge with the blending tool. Now I know many of you will know how to do this, but we've got new viewers all the time, and maybe they don't. New friends joining us. So we just keep going to ink it all, as light as you want or as heavy as you want. But remember, if you go in heavy, if you're heavy-handed, start off the paper and then go in. But I don't think you can make a great deal of mistakes with these brushes, because they're just so light. Even if you press down, it still blends it. So if I press down like that, and I'll tell you what else they're good for. If you've got dexterity problems, now as many of you know, I've got a bad hand and wrist from an elbow injury, and it's left movement in my arm and wrist and hand quite well, it's quite bad sometimes. So I have trouble gripping some things. This, you can either grip it, you can grip it on the top, you can hold it like that. I find myself holding it like that sometimes, like that, and it's just very easy to use in one of the other tools, because it just kind of falls right, and the handle for these is bendy, so it just works. I'm really happy with mine. £3 well spent. There we go for 2. And just that one last little bit at the top. There we go. See, no special technique needed. Just get the colour on there. And that is, well, I would say it's nearly the same as the background. I shall show you both of them. And I shall put X marks the spot on this one. so that we know that this is the one I've just created, just in case. Move my mats out of the way and we can have a comparison. There we go. Oh, very similar. I did well to try and get it in the same place, roughly the same place. So the only difference is, oh, I've even used, how cool is that? I've even, yeah, it's just that one missing. That could be what's one of those spot the difference pictures. But that's how I've got the shade in, and it just looks so pretty. It really does. And with adding the yellow on the top, you can see how it catches the light. Now it's not gold, it's not a metallic ink, but it looks like it could be because of the way it's shaded. And you saw I did nothing special for that. It was just getting the colour on there. So I hope this has given you some good ideas. Please join me for the project that we're going to use our dragonfly background on. We're not going to see a lot of it, however, we know it's there and we've had fun creating it. And that's what it's all about, ideas and having fun. So I'd just like to say thank you for watching the Technique project. And if you watch the card making project next, then you'll think, oh, I know how she did that. And that'd be great. Check my blog for lots more other techniques and different things that I've got going on there. And look for the photos for the projects and more information, etc. Give me the thumbs up. So thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.